Anyways, my name's Tiffany, to reiterate. And anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I'm very excited about tomorrow. I get to do my fall routine. I switch back to hot coffee from iced coffee. I did have some hot coffee this summer, I'm not gonna lie to you. It took a minute to perfect my cold brew game, but I did it. But also I get to go back to drinking hot coffee and oatmeal. Oatmeal's coming back.
You don't eat oatmeal in the summer?
No, it's hot. I don't want it. Okay. You want to wake up hot and sweaty and come stumbling into your kitchen and shove a big old spoonful of hot oatmeal in your mouth?
Don't give me, what does that look like?
That's really what you want.
Because I'm like envisioning it.
In the summer though, like in the winter when it's cold and you're like, let me just have a little warm breakfast. No, in the summer, no. In the summer, I will take everything cold that comes cold. Or that is good cold. I will do that. Okay. All right. Is that all right?
I drink hot coffee all year long.
So anyways, that's what's been going on with me, is that I've been fighting with people about the real date of fall and prepping for my own fall celebration. In the interim, I'm going to turn it over to this lady.
Okay.
And let her talk to you about her experiences and her life.
Lots of adventures. I've been able to see a lot of music this past month.
What's your favorite show that you have seen? This summer?
So I saw Wilco and Crumbum.
We don't
Or
want to get.
Chrome Goblin.
And I don't know, because I've seen Wilco a billion times. I see them every time they're around or in proximity. I love the Crumbum better.
Can you say it one more time?
Crumbin.
Crumbin.
I
Crumb
have to, Crumb Goblin or Crumbum, as you would say. But yeah, it was freaking
Affectionately.
amazing. It really was awesome. It's just, I wanted to see them live in the summer. Because they're just
You
atmospheric.
had seen them before, hadn't you?
No.
Oh, I
It's the
thought
first
you
time.
Oh, so that was a great first concert for
Yeah,
them.
it was awesome.
Yeah, in the apple orchard.
Yeah, it was great.
Which would be
So
better
that was
in
fun.
fall, because you know.
Yeah, and so yeah, things are good. A lot of relaxation. Really a lot. I know relaxation for me. It was relaxation, but everybody else is like
That's like my,
3,000 miles an hour. But I really was one.
your relaxing time is like 3 times more busy than my busy time.
I said to Kelly recently, she's the only person that I've ever met who has seriously and genuinely told me, I'm booked out on weekends for the next 2 months.
And I have seen.
She's like a high-end restaurant. You can't get a table. Good luck.
Unless you know someone.
Yeah, you think you know somebody?
We have a very full dance card. A lot of
So
them.
I'm dipping there.
You think you could go to, yeah, 20 ain't gonna cut it.
Here, okay, how about the 31st? It's too much for them.
So, Kelly's idea of relaxation is most of our nightmares. But that's good. I'm glad that you had it.
Yes.
I'm very glad that you had your summertime Kelly experience.
Yes.
The way that you want to and the way that you like to, because I feel like that's important for you.
Yes, it is. I really do enjoy having time where I get to just go to see music, be outside. I don't have to like bundle.
Yeah.
Get ready,
I like
freeze, get out of the car, freeze. I just really enjoy just temperature walking from place to place. That
Yeah.
to change. That's my only complaint about winter, really, is the time.
Because you are in and out
so much. Yeah, so I'm
Right.
always changing
Yeah,
temperatures. It drives me crazy.
You can't balance that time.
It's crazy. I can't do.
Time check.
All right, Marianne, you.
Marianne, let's talk
Why
to
do I
you
have
about.
to go after Kelly, the busiest person I know, has the most stuff going on?
Okay, well, we'll switch up the order and I will slice you in after me, who has nothing to talk about except for coffee and blankets and my fall wardrobe, which I'm still very excited about.
It is pretty epic. But
Yes.
yes,
I don't really have much of anything going on per se. I really need a haircut.
Same.
It's driving me nuts.
I'm probably gonna be messing with it all video.
2
because-
months overdue.
Yep,
Mm,
But I don't know what I want to do next.
I'm almost a full month.
I love the short, but
But I need to find a new person, because my
that's
person moved onto the other side of the city and I'm just so tired of driving
Yeah.
so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for some recommendations.
All right.
If you're
Some
local
space.
and you have some recommendations.
Anywhere
for
near
Marianne's
Canandaigua, New York.
hairstylist. Canandaigua, you're screwed. You're better off,
No, that's
you're
right.
better off going downtown, right?
I just don't wanna go to the other side of the city. I would like to stay on this
East side.
But
Wanna
I
get
thought
the
you
east
said,
side.
So, I don't know, I feel like we haven't done any bits. Are there bits that we can shove in here? Does anyone have
What do you
anything
mean
fun?
bits?
Our
What do you mean, what do I mean
natural?
with bits?
Mine,
Yes, but
yeah.
we're
We need
changing,
organic bits.
I understand.
We're improv bits, man. It's all down to the improv. Okay.
Yes, and.
I feel like we have somehow, once again, I am the straight man.
Derailing. We just did derailing everybody. Sorry. I don't like jokes.
You're not Canadian.
Yeah.
Don't overturn the apple cart.
Listen, FYI, I have told you every time to do this. It's not a surprise or a random accusation that I'm making. It's an assertion that you can handle the beds. We have planned all of this so well. I just want you to know. Okay, so I guess we're gonna start talking about the book and then we will figure out the bits later. Kelly is having a great evening. And we're the ones drinking
I
wine,
know,
so I
right?
don't know how that's happening.
Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Do you like it? Yeah. So we have a rosé prosecco here that was actually brought by me. I think it was a gift. I'm not 100% sure how it wound up in my fridge. But it's delicious.
If you
So
happen to
technically
give
was
Tiffany
brought by
this,
that person.
we'd like to know who to give credit to.
I want to see it was Christmas or birthday.
Nice.
That's how long it's been in my fridge.
But we had to have Rob open it.
Yes. Because
So she
none of us open coffee bottles.
so she walks in with it and I go, oh, great. And Rob goes, okay, I'm gonna go upstairs and get
Wait.
changed. We go, wait, you have to open the Prosecco because we're all terrified of opening it.
That's okay. I was derailed. No, so I have a fear, and I also have a fear of opening like the biscuit container. See, the biscuit
I hate
container
that.
I have worked out. All I have to do is I grab like the corner of it, I yank it, and I yank off all the cardboard, and then I chuck it in the sink. And if it doesn't pop the first time, I pick it up and I chuck it in the sink again. And eventually, it's flickering.
Okay.
It's a ghost.
It's my mind, I'm doing it with my mind. I'm asking it to just start flickering like.
As soon as she
when
wants
it's
me to
time
stop
move
telling
on.
us stupid biscuits. So anyways, I throw the biscuit container into the sink until it explodes. But you can't do
You
that
throw it in the sink?
with a bottle, yeah. I don't know where else.
I choose.
No, I don't want it in my hand
Biscuit,
at all.
yes. I swear to God, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Oh,
So I'm thinking one of those cookie containers, those like Dutch
No,
cookies.
no.
I thought.
Why the hell? I have it in a snake.
that's my thought. Which I
that
did all the
makes sense.
time.
What are they talking
She
about?
never
And
goes
she goes and see what would they do? And I'm like, oh.
Cause I
realizing-
never know when it's actually. I hate that.
I know.
So I do the normal, putting my thumbs on and pushing, but I always do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah, no,
And my
I don't,
face is pushed away.
I'm under the impression that the ends are going to fly off and like injure me, so
It's
I
never
want it,
happened yet.
I don't want it in my
Okay.
hands exploding, I want it far away from me, from my
Right.
hands. So that's, again, I don't know how we got here, anyways, hello, this is a book club.
In
so
case
just to
you
give you
couldn't
a,
tell.
yeah, just to give you a quick overview of what we're doing here in case this is your first work. God. Round two. I should drink Prosecco and try to do this, guys. It's gonna be a mess. Okay, so. In the event that this is the first book club that you have stumbled upon with us, just so you know, we at Roth and Yant pick a book from an indie author either self-published or indie published, whichever way that shakes down. We pick one, we do about one a month, and we read it, we each read it independently. We do not share notes, although that's not a rule, that just doesn't happen due to time. And then we come together and we record a little video talking about what we liked best about the book. Oftentimes the author will be somebody that we know or have published, but it doesn't have to be either of those things. So that's what we're doing here. It's a really nice way for us to talk up authors and to get the word out about books in the event that we have a readership that hasn't heard about it yet. And in the event that you have any suggestions, please email the press and we will take a look at your suggestion, check it out for a future episode of the book club, which I think on average garners about 67 views. So, I mean, we're gonna make you tens of dollars. So please do that.
Tens of cents.
$50.
And leading up to today, we have picked an author who we are very familiar with. We have published this poet in the past, and also this is somebody that I happen to interact with on a fairly regular basis. I think we all do. And so I'm gonna do, also I wanna show off my outfit, so I'm gonna get up and show them.
That's what he's trying now.
So this is Washed Away by Shiksha Dheda. Okay, right, my hair's a mess. So this is Washed Away, a collection of fragments by Shiksha Dheda. This is a poetry collection and it is split into 3 sections in the book. And they are soap lathering, rinsing, and drying. And an important note on this book is that it references in a lot of detail mental illnesses and their symptoms, and also the reckoning with those, the reckoning of those symptoms. I have a bunch to cut out. I can't tell.
Could you grab my phone, please? So it's not in the picture for a second. Yeah.
So, again, 3 parts: soap lathering, rinsing, and drying. These refer to the symptoms of disorders under soap lathering, the understanding of those disorders, and under rinsing, and under drying, it's the combination of both hopeful and hopeless. That is sort of how Shiksha has laid these out, which I think is pretty cohesive and makes a lot of sense. And so we are going to dive in to the book and do a little discuss. So who wants to start with their, whatever the first thing is that they want to share? Their first thought, their first standout piece, their first impression? Which guy?
I'm letting you go first because for me, I'll tell you. Go ahead. You go first. Hold on. Gotta hold on to it for the discussion.
Excuse me. I have to say, I think some of my favorite pieces are the teeny tiny ones.
Me too.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
The ones that are just one line,
Same.
just because they really put so much into so little.
All that meaning, and that's one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and we've talked about this before when we discussed flash fiction and other sort of chunk writing style, how important and how impressive maybe that is to be able to just very neatly and concisely, and especially to me because I tend to be a little bit wordy.
I think we all can be at times.
I don't know if you can tell that I'm a wordy person. So being able to see what people can really do with very few words is always impressive. And this book is certainly no exception to that. The little 1 and 2 liners, I think there's a few 3-line poems as well, were particularly startling to me.
Yes. So I was looking for one of the old things was the title.
Yeah,
That I tried new things, but the carcass of the old things took up too much space. That would really hit home. It was really so tiny and yet so powerful to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, I'm gonna check and see, let me just sneak this for a second, because I wanna say that I wrote them down.
that's what I don't have. 2 guesses.
Glasses, correct. Okay,
Because this is becoming
I'm
a
good at this
fucking
game.
This is becoming a bit.
It's like
Every time
big
Kelly
number
sits
one.
down, Kelly prepares an entire fucking meal.
yeah.
an amazing meal.
She
An
fed
entire
us
meal.
and gave us dessert, and she still didn't have her
I
glasses.
still have my glasses.
The whole
What's wrong with me? Oh, yes, because I want to read in a second.
Listen, it's late, it's end of day,
Yeah, it is.
so. The one of the standout poems that I noted is actually a couple lines longer than 2 or 3, but it's still extremely short. And this is one that hit home for me that I wanted to make sure that I read. This is a poem called Shadow. Irrespective of where I stood, the shadow of my personality always seemed to mar their brightness. I retreated to the darkness instead. And I think this one in particular hits home for me because I suffer from both anxiety and depression, a really cool cocktail combo going on. And I have felt like no matter what I did, there was always like a dark cloud somewhere lurking in my personality, in my attitude, in just somewhere in my psyche, just waiting to kind of spring up. So I think that one really hit home for me, but it's also a very good example of not only what terse type little sentences can do, but also repetition where it's
Yes.
important. Like, I think that's really an excellent usage of that to drive that home. Kelly, you can take a look.
Let's see if I can find it real quick. Void. Anybody write this one down? I probably did.
So,
I suppose I was trying to fill the void left by living, by dying.
that's a stunner.
And I guess it's, for me, you know me, I love less words. To me, you know, and I know that I'm not comparing this to like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but the way he says something in his lyrics is very to the point. And they're the best lyrics on the planet. But they're simple because what they convey in such a little bit of time. And that's kind of, they remind me of little lyrics in a song.
Like your favorite line.
Like my favorite line from a song, which is like super.
Just says it all.
Yeah, says it all. And there was another one. Well, I can't, you guys keep talking.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, the growth. These ones that just take a concept. I thought I would outgrow you. I have outgrown everything except for you. Yeah, I thought that was beautiful.
Absolutely. And I think too, and you guys can agree or disagree with this, but I think that with it being so short, it leaves it so open to the reader to kind of interpret. Like, do you find that the shorter something is, the more you're able to kind of apply that to your own life and your own circumstances? Or is that just, I don't know if that's just me.
No, I agree.
But
Exactly.
obviously, you know, the longer it is, the more detailed it is, the more of the speaker's experience is included. But I think the shorter and smaller maybe it is, the more you're able to kind of take that little piece with you. I don't know. That's kind of
Maybe
how.
that's why it feels like the small, like the few words say so much, is because
It's expansive.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Okay, so I have a few pieces and then I have some overall notes that I'll close with, but.
Oh, I like some of, I think this is one of them, the visual.
Yeah.
And that was one note that I wanted to make. We don't, and we intentionally do this, Peter. We don't go over all of the details of a book during our book club, because we would like very much for you to buy the book, and we include, you know, links and resources for you to do that, for you to reach out to the author, whatever the case may be. In this case, it's very easy because there is a lot of visual poetry contained within this collection. There is blackout poetry, there is all different types of visual usages of poems that isn't really something that we can very easily discuss or describe, so we're not going to, but we will tell you that it is well worth checking out, so please do that.
It's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, and this is actually, so I did write down one. I started with a slightly longer one, but the next one that I picked was a very terse favorite of mine. This is Of My Own Making. How could the same thing make and unmake me? Which I think, I think that echoes through everyone's life in one way or another. Like, I feel like this particular piece is something very universal, and that's why I think it's better to me. Another piece that I had noted, we can get to it. The poem is called When I Think About Writing About Flowers. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a few passages from it. The world is falling apart, tearing itself into pieces, then breaking those pieces into tinier pieces. It's chewing itself up, crunchingly, crunch. And then I'll skip ahead a little bit. Should I be writing about flowers at this time? Should I be getting lost in a garden, in a beautiful world of growth and beauty when war rages around me? Should I write about flowers when the weeds of negativity, of malice, of suspicion, of anger, of desolation are fed by the never faltering winds of my pessimism? Let's get me again. My insanity, a kaleidoscope of my helpless, vulnerable, aggressive, disappointing scars. Should I really be writing about flowers? This particular piece spoke to me because I often have that thought, and I have it in regards to writing, but I have it in regards to my life in general. Particularly over the last few years when everything around us seems to be falling apart, or maybe the more accurate thing to say is that everything was always falling apart, and we are just now, we now have a greater awareness of the falling apart of everything around us. Certainly there are new elements, but I think it's probably always been terrible. It gives me pause every time I have like something to celebrate, or something that I'm excited about, or whatever. Like, it all seems silly and it all seems to fit in comparison. And that's what struck me about this particular piece, is that it's kind of about, you know, should I be writing about flowers kind of at the end of the world, in a way, both inwardly and outwardly, which I think is really something that I think about and struggle with.
And do you think, like, when I hear that poem, and you were just asking that question about, has this always happened, or are we just picking up? I think every single generation is having their own conversation, struggling. One side is always struggling for the upward. We're not new to the upward struggle. There's abolitionists, or there's somebody with an undercurrent that sees something wrong in their time and tries to go for it. So I think it's just a constant struggle, is how I kind of see it, that this is not new,
Right.
This is always happening all the time, somewhere and everywhere.
And yet, always needed someone to write about flowers.
Correct. That's exactly it. We always need that.
Like, to be able
Always.
to give yourself permission to celebrate even in the worst of times.
Yeah.
Not feel like that has to be excused. Just because we're kind of in a time where everyone is collectively miserable and collectively fighting, and, you know, for better or worse, it's not necessarily the happiest passage of time in history. Not that that's new or unprecedented, just that it's, you know, it's where we are right now. But I've certainly been like, oh, well, you know, all this terrible news came out. I remember I got my new job like right after the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I remember like sitting on that for a few days and being like, now's really not the time for me to be bragging on social media about a better job that I just obtained, you know? It always feels inappropriate. It always feels like, okay, well, the focus can't be on me right now. And I think because writing is such a personal process for a lot of us, and I know it's that way for me. For me, it's actually a very isolated process. Having friends that write is a relatively new concept in my life. I didn't grow up with that, and I dated a few writers, and that went great. So having like people close to me that are super supportive of my writing is a new thing. So for an act that is for me a little bit isolated and a little bit personal, to be like, oh, I just, you know, I got an acceptance yesterday or whatever the case may be, I think, or even just to put pen to paper about something that isn't like exclusively suffering. I think sometimes you do feel guilty. I feel guilty. But I don't think realistically, logically, I don't think that we should feel guilty for it. But I think that's what this poem reckons about. That was a very windy way for me to explain that, but I whined a little bit. Marianne, would you like to take your next point and drive it home?
I don't know if I can drive it home, but.
With the one headline? Sorry. Apparently I'm doing my own bits today.
And I've got to learn to be better about writing down page numbers.
I did that. That much I did this time. I did do that.
I do know it's in section. Oh, gone fishing. There was a the imagery of. Let me see if I can find the line of fishing and the fish being answers to questions.
Mhm.
Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah. When I looked for answers, they would come swimming again. They would come for my bait of questions, being fatter and older, more useful now, more nourishing and filling. I just love that idea that if you get your answers, like that they actually may be more useful, bigger or fatter, if you don't get them right away.
Yeah,
But just
that you let a little bit of life experience in there.
The
you
search
let a
for
little
the
bit-
answer,
yeah.
learning from the search.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really
And
cool
learning from
concept.
the mistakes that are leading to research as well, which I think is really interesting. That's great. I hadn't thought about that. Give me that book. There's one more that I want to.
Give me that.
Give me that. Give me that.
Give me that.
Give it over here. Over here, Sadie.
What?
Those are
Why
two
did you
angry
turn
actually
into
like what?
Edward G. Robinson all of a sudden? What is comedy? And why did I do such an old man reference? Why did I just do that?
Well, it was an
I
old
was
man
trying to do it.
voice.
I was trying to
So.
do like a.
Oh, of course, because I'm terrible at math. I loved quantifying an illness. Just because I love playing with numbers for some reason, I'm not sure why, but anytime there's a poem with numbers in it, I love it. And I don't know if it's my numeric dyslexia that loves it, because they're usually shorter or in word form.
Maybe it helps you understand because it's poisonous.
In a sentence.
Yeah.
It's very weird, but I just happen to I love it. 254 days since I left my house at all. 255 days since I have pet my dogs. 619 days since I have given or received a hug. 2,444 days since I watched a movie at the cinema. 2,460 days since I ate in an actual restaurant. 2,150 days since I have eaten takeout. Pizza was the last, I think. 34 days since I have had a proper shower. 2 hours since I have washed my hands. 1.5 minutes since my last intrusive thought. I don't know why the distance for the numbers going down to tiny and just have it be that you're still in the issue, you're still dealing, you're still in the pit of it. with all those days that have passed, of those things that are so pleasurable and a part of our life. That's really moving to me. I am not a depression sufferer, just an anxiety. And I don't want to say just an anxiety, but it is very different.
And it's different.
And for
Different
everybody,
both.
yes, and it's different in both. So this, what these poems were helping me do was get it a little bit. By putting it in perspective, there's a lot of perspective in this for me.
Agreed.
So I think that's what this kind of thing does, is it kind of shows me in plain view what folks are dealing with. And together to have a deeper understanding.
And I think that's important. I think that's very important work, to make sure that people who do not suffer from these types of issues have an understanding of what that existence is truly like. I think that that is not only the mark of good writing, but I also think that that is on a larger scale important, just to raise our collective awareness of what other people are dealing with. So I think that's a great takeaway.
And at the same time, a connection for people who do have the same
Mhm.
issues to feel that connection.
Right, absolutely. I have one final poem that I wanted to touch on / possibly read / maybe not. Yeah, I'm gonna read part of this. This is a poem called Assurance. They told me to not wash my hands. Now everyone is washing theirs. They told me that I shouldn't wear gloves so often. So many are wearing them all the time now. They told me to get used to hugging people, to touching people, to shaking everyone's hands. Now there's a 6-foot distance between everyone. They told me that I should go out more often. Now everyone is locked up at home. It goes on from there. I was really struck with the concept of what the pandemic meant for people with OCD, and how all of this, like, kind of flipping the script on what you're ordinarily told to do with those types of tendencies, how all of a sudden it was everything was put into reverse. And it was incredibly eye-opening and very, kind of connected with me in that way, because I was like, wow, it absolutely is opposite of everything that you're told to do. And now all of a sudden you have to, kind of backtrack and possibly backtrack on that progress too. So the greater implication of that piece, I think, really spoke to me. So that was something that I wanted to note. Marianne, do you have?
I actually had done something about assurance too.
Oh, what did you say about that?
I just thought it actually was a really interesting look at the pandemic through the eyes of someone whose life already resembled all the changes we were making.
Okay.
So, but I didn't think about it the way I did about the backtracking of progress. It felt more like almost like a justification. Oh, maybe I had it right all along.
Well, and I think that's also a
Yeah,
thought that probably crossed people's minds too, is that, wow, this is why,
So I had cancer very young, at 37 years old. So I used to think I was a hypochondriac because I was constantly saying how I thought I was sick. And I didn't feel good, or I would trip and say I have cancer, like really make huge leaps. So that when I finally had it, it was vindicating. I was like, see, I told you I had cancer. Now, could I have predicted my own illness? I don't know. But the other thing could just be, I've said it so many times that
part of it became like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Now here's a weird question. This is kind of like like a philosophical question, I guess.
Okay.
Do you feel like all of the time that you spent thinking that you had cancer when you didn't, that it made the news easier to bear in any way?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that you like
100%.
got that, like that the anxiety somehow prepared you for the actual? Okay.
100%.
Interesting.
Cause I felt extremely like, there, I'm not crazy. But I don't know if I just happen to have, I don't know, it's a chicken or the egg situation. Like, it was a period of 2 years, yeah, where I just really thought I did, and then it takes about 2 years for this type of cancer to grow, so it's kind of weird. Who knows?
It's interesting.
So it is.
I have a tendency to do that, sometimes with cancer, because I do have a little bit of a hypochondriac tendency as well. I will randomly convince myself that I have any number of deadly diseases all at the same time. But I do that in general, like if something, like I will see the end of something, I will see all of the potential ends of something. And I will kind of go through the way that that's gonna go in my mind. And I tell myself, and sure it's anxiety, don't get me wrong, but I tell myself that I'm doing that to like protect myself in some way. Like, well, hey, at least you're prepared, like you're not gonna be caught off guard, you're not gonna be blindsided. But I always wonder, because I've certainly worried about things that have happened, and I've worried about things that have never happened, and I've been caught off guard by things I wasn't worried about. So I always have wondered if there's any benefit to your brain trying to prepare you for something. Yeah, like if it is ever beneficial to have it prepared, that's why I asked that question, because I think that's interesting. I don't know. I tend to just be caught off guard by stuff that I wasn't worried about to begin with, because I was too busy worried about this other thing.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Same.
it's not always super, I mean, occasionally it's useful, but it's not always the most useful thing.
Alright.
Okay, so a couple of other notes that I wanted to make. I wanted to make an overall note. I liked the way that, and maybe you guys noticed this, maybe you didn't, I like the way that the poem seemed to shift in voice, between like an introspective kind of past tense to this very like frantic in the moment kind of voice. And I think that that sort of paints a picture of the space and the distance that retrospect can put on emotions, versus the way that we feel as they're happening, like the lens that your brain kind of puts on things, which I think is interesting. I write better when something is actually happening around me, like when the emotions are raw and fresh. But I think it makes more sense and is like a better story when I have a little bit of distance from it. And I can kind of let my brain put that lens over it so I can like make sense of it.
Right.
But I think both of these voices were done very well, which is something that I admire because it's not necessarily something I can do. There were some that were very much like, this is the moment that we're in right now, and this is what is happening. And then there's some that's like looking back on experiences. And I thought that that was interesting, that sort of shift in voice was good, I thought. So, anybody else have anything that they'd like to say?
It was wonderful. And hard.
Yeah,
Those kind
absolutely.
of good, that kind of good
Mhm.
perspective of being, like you said, being able to look at something from the past, from the future, from the present, all in one.
Agreed. So, as always, we are going to put a link to purchase Shiksha's book, as well as her social media, websites, anything like that that you might want, be in the description box. So you can check this collection out for yourself.
So I hope nobody from yoga watches this. I had a guy in class, I record, and his microphone was on.
Oh, you told me, is this what you told me the other day?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So his microphone is on, I hear him grunting and groaning because we're doing horror. Sorry, somebody, your microphone is on, and then I hear him click, boop, and then just right back on. I was like, shit, so I get up, excuse me, it's being recorded. I start pressing the button, and it goes boop, and back on. I can't mute the guy, cannot. So I'm sitting there,
Poor guy.
and I'm like, oh
No,
shit, I'm trying to talk.
She's recording this for other people to watch and do yoga
People
too.
buy this. So the guy goes, you're killing me.
Wasn't he talking to his wife too?
What are you doing? I'm doing this core stretch thing and it's killing me. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking. Please turn off your phone, please turn off your microphone. And every time he clicks it, goes right back on. So at the end, I put everybody in Shavasana, which is the quiet time in yoga, the time when it's meditative and breathing. And he goes, all right, see you later. Thanks so much. The time he gets to lay there and not complain, he interrupts it and hightails it out.
Knowing full well he was, his mic was on.
Yes, knowing it's like, I'm like,
He was probably really.
he didn't even,
I don't know.
I would think he was
I don't
embarrassed
think
at
he
all.
realized it at all. I think every time I told him, he thought he was checking and he was saying, oh, it's off, but it wasn't off.
Every time he turned it off,
He turned it on. And we were just doing it opposite each other. I was muting him, unmuting, and he was like, it was all crazy. Dude.
That's funny.
I'm gonna go with your yoga classes and just run really loud.
Well,
And be like,
Oh, Rob has a bet about that.
about grunting in yoga?
Yeah. I wish he would do it, but he won't. No, Kelly, don't make me do it. So he said he was gonna make me the most popular yoga instructor in town because he was gonna go to everybody else's yoga classes in town wearing a really tight, like, Speedo bottom. And he, in bright orange, and he would wear like sweat and sweat on his head. And then he would take the poses, and every time he would go, yoga. He would like fart when he went over, and everyone would eliminate going to those classes and go to my class. That's what it is. That's what it is.
How long do you think it would have taken before you guys got found out?
I have
Before
no
they
idea.
figured out he was your husband.
Oh my God, it's so funny. That's so funny to me.
It is hysterical.
Because you should see
And
him
I'm
do it.
I'm
You should see
picturing
them do it. It's hysterical.
Oh, I got Judy one.
Judy, come on.
What are you doing? I love her. Hi, secret.
Oh my God, help me. Robbie, could you grab her a thing? A wiener.
Grab a
Wiener.
So we're going to wrap this up, and we have decided for our next book club that our next victim is Alessandra Tobin, and the name of her book is Put Eyes on Me, Not Like a Curse. So we are going to, we're going to be grabbing that. We're going to be doing a little reading and a little reviewing, and possibly more bits. If I have to start writing the bits, though,
No.
like what if we start doing this like a staged production?
No.
Like, we have direction.
No.
What if there's a script when you guys roll up?
No.
Would that be bad?
Yeah, I don't do well with scripts.
No.
No.
We could do well with these ones. We could really act. You could play a character and I could play a character doing the scripts.
Yeah.
So if she puts them out there, I could be like British royalty.
Let's
Or
hear
you
your-
can be
let's
like,
hear your British-
all of my
let's hear
bits
your
are
British.
see, all I can do is cock me, so that doesn't make a lot of sense.
All I can do is
Tell us
copy
Oh, God, no. That's all I've got.
That's a little cockney. I don't know how to do upper crust. Rob can do an upper crust.
Upper crust, is that what it's called?
The upper crust.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like I don't use the word
You don't
crust.
use like 1940s
Because you're not-
ago. You're into old people.
I am not.
Old people.
I am British.
Well, no, you're American. You're not in England.
So
talking
we were
about-
growing
I
up.
don't know if British people actually do. Somebody can tell us.
All right, our bits have gotten away from us. It has occurred to us that none of this is gonna be of interest to you. We are at this point talking about roller skates. exclusively, which is going to be of interest to you, when we get there. Because I'm going to make it, roller derby is coming. These two are maybe not thrilled about it, but that's what's happening.
I'm thrilled. What are you
Kelly's
talking about? I can't wait to put those skates on. I love skating. And you guys will come with me on the canal and we'll get pictures done. We'll skate on the canal path.
Okay.
There, yeah.
Dude,
That seems dangerous.
we're just gonna get past.
And they're very heavy. I will go right to the bottom.
They're not that heavy, okay? But we're gonna get past.
Lord, yeah.
We're gonna get past.
I don't think they're flotation devices.
We're gonna get past and flotation device. We're gonna get both.
All right.
For both of us. Just, I need as much protection as I can get. Anyways,
She's fine.
she's hot.
She wants to be part of the crew.
So we are going to say goodnight to all of you. It is night. I think that's why I feel sleepy
Yes.
and less bitty than I normally am. But we will be back. And if you would like to talk to us in the interim, you can find us on social media. You can find us on our website. You can find us outside of the city of Rochester. You can find us anywhere you need to. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.